right, so today I have a very special guest, Penny Mark, executive coach who work with senior professionals. Penny, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm really well, Fernando. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you. So, Penny, as we begin this conversation today, I believe that there will be some potential clients who are looking for a professional coach. And also, there may be coaches who are looking for continuing their professional development. And hearing from an experienced coach about their journey always is extremely valuable for those who are looking for a coach as well as those who would like to continue their professional development as a professional coach. So with that, may I first invite you to share with us what inspired you to become a professional coach in first place?
Yes, such a great question. And I'd say that every coach has got a very different answer. I suppose for me, I was living in Ireland, in Dublin, and I was 29 years old and I had been in the same job for a while. And I did honours psychology in University College Dublin. And I decided that I would like to go back to something a bit more human centric because I'd been in marketing for years. So I went to see a career coach. So that was my first foray into coaching. And what was uncovered, like most people know if they've been through coaching, is quite often when you go through coaching, things are uncovered that you never thought about before. And for me, it was thinking about my career and what I wanted to do and what job I wanted. And actually, what was uncovered was that I always wanted to go traveling and that I always wanted to potentially live somewhere else. So 2 months after the coaching had finished, I packed in the job. I moved home, lived with my family for a few months to save some money, got a friend and went off to South America for 5 months and went to Patagonia. That was the dream. I'd always wanted to go to Patagonia. And then went to Australia for 5 months and New Zealand then the same. And I suppose when you think about going back full circle, my mum always laughs. She says, I knew you'd go back to psychology, something to do with psychology, because I am quite a curious person by nature. And so then went back on the career hunt and obviously ended up in leadership consultancy firms, HR recruitment, while I've been living here in New Zealand for 20 years. And obviously then became a coach myself when I worked for a leadership consultancy firm. They were really supportive in letting me do my credentials with ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And I did the course in person, which was great, all obviously pre-COVID. And I must say, Fernando, the first day of doing the course, I was a little bit skeptical beforehand, but that first day and then that night, I dreamt about coaching and I dreamt about coaching every night. And I was like, something had just kind of got me hooked straight away. And I really saw the value in it. And I absolutely loved the journey. You've met amazing people, both coaches and clients, and it's really opened up sort of that passion for my personal development and obviously wanting to be the best coach that I can be as well.
Thank you, Penny. Very interesting. Like you said, every coach has a very unique story to be here, and your story is very inspiring already. So very curious to learn more about you, Penny. And you said something really very interesting. You said that you came from a psychology background and then was in marketing and then went to a career coach and then somehow you were directed through the coaching professional development as a coach. So that coaching you took with the career coach, how did that influence you to be here today?
Yeah. I think some people don't realize when you're going through coaching, you've actually got to do a bit of work. There is homework. It's not just sitting there for an hour and talking about yourself. And I think the exercises that my coach gave me, his name's Frank Rock. He's passed now, but he'd be really proud. The exercise that he gave me were very much around sort of visualizing the future and what I like, my dreams and aspirations. And I actually went on holidays for 2 weeks and he said to think about the whole career thing because he really was thinking that I was heading down that path. But he said by being away and not thinking about it, you might actually come back with an answer. So there's something about, we always think that we have to work really hard about thinking about what we need to do and what's our purpose. But once you let go of that and have that freedom to just not put pressure on yourself, that was when I actually came up with the answer. And I saw him when I came back and he said, so have you thought about careers and what path you want to go on? And I said, I know what I want to do. And I was so clear. And he said, what is it? I said, I want to go traveling. He was like, oh my God. And I said, I absolutely know that's what I want to do. And I don't think I would have had the courage to do it if I hadn't seen him. And I wonder where I'd be now if I hadn't seen him as a coach. And if you think about how my life has changed in 20 years, I met my husband the first month living in New Zealand. I've got 3 kids, a dog. I've met amazing people. I have lived somewhere else now and experienced a whole other country, culture, environment, and feel very lucky that I've lived in 2 beautiful countries and experienced that. Yeah.
Wonderful, Penny. Congratulations with all of those wonderful experiences and achievements you have created for yourself through this journey. So what I'm hearing from you is something common that I hear from many coaches when I speak to them, which is as they meet with a coach, it helps them to change the trajectory of their journey. And I'm hearing some nuances in your story. How would you like to approach this? If I may invite you to recognize if there was a change of the trajectory of your life as you worked with a professional coach.
Yeah, I don't think, Fernando, I would have come up with those answers on my own. I think bravery comes up for me. Like, I don't think that, like, maybe I thought about it, but I hadn't gone there properly in my head, and I hadn't the right support, maybe I wouldn't say support, but the right sort of way to talk about it, to explore it. And that's exactly it in a coaching session. The coach is there to completely support you, non-judgmental. You run the agenda. It's all about you. And if it changes direction, then that's the direction that it's meant to go, but it's all run by the client. And I think for me, my coach supported that and obviously let me go down that pathway. He didn't turn around and say, you can't go traveling. You wanted to talk about your career. But, over a year later, then I got back on track to the career, and look where I am at now. I've actually ticked those 2 boxes. I've gone traveling and I'm back in more of a human-centric role, and I'm a coach myself and absolutely love what I do and feel really humbled to be able to work with people and also help them feel like become unstuck and help them find their pathway, particularly around careers.
Thank you, Penny. I think there's a very important element that you are mentioning here. I believe that those who are joining us later on with this recording, I believe that many individuals, professionals are a little bit hesitant to go to a practitioner, whether it's a therapist, a psychologist, or a coach, because there's a lot of stigma still in 2024. And then also often people prefer to find their own answers within, like you said, people-centric or client-driven approaches rather than direct advising and telling people what to do. So I'm hearing this very strongly that you found these answers for yourself while your coach is holding space, a non-judgmental space, and supporting you move forward. Would you like to talk a little bit about how did the coaching process enable you to find your own answers?
I think the biggest thing is trust and feeling safe in a conversation, and that no matter what you say, it's taken on board. I feel that with my sessions with my coach and with other coaches, even since Frank, have been really instrumental in asking challenging questions as well, like trying to get me to think from a different perspective, hold up the mirror, what would happen if I did nothing? What would life be like if I didn't make any changes? And that's when I revert back to, there is homework to do. Like, you come away with actions, even if it's a reflection on something or reflecting on an activity or a behavior, it's trying something different. I think for me, it was quite a light bulb moment, and you can have those in your sessions too. So they call them aha moments. And it's lovely when you're coaching and you have a client and they have an aha moment, and you can just see their whole face kind of light up, literally like a light bulb. And I think that I had that with him. And yeah, even when I talked to you about it, I was really sure, to pack in your job and sort of head home and then head off traveling a few months later. It was, yeah, stupid or clever? I think it was clever.
Indeed. All
Yeah.
right. So now I think the more we talk to you and understand your journey, the more interesting it becomes, and how also coaching being finding your own answers. And I also believe very deeply that innately we all have our answers within. Sometimes when we work with a practitioner who can provide that non-judgmental
Mm,
space for us, we are able to surface those findings. Now, with that, Penny, you have come really very far, quite literally, isn't it? You have traveled quite a lot, and at the same time, you have moved from Ireland to New Zealand. So,
mm,
with that, I'm very curious to learn more about your current practice as an
yeah.
executive coach
Hmm.
in a foreign land, in contrast to what you were doing before you became a professional coach.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for asking. I think, I've been here since 2004, worked in various different roles, all people-centric roles, leadership consultancy firms as well, and executive search. So I've worked a lot with top talent, high potentials, particularly at the C-suite GM level, and some sort of lower sort of mid-management level too. And when I did my coach training, that was something that kind of gave me the opportunity to also tap into some clients through the consultancy firm I was working with. But then it's funny, actually, my first couple of years running my practice wasn't in New Zealand. We moved to England. So we went to the UK in 2018. And that was actually where I kind of set up my own practice, worked for an online global coaching platform, started getting clients all around the world, and loved that completely, obviously, as well, because I was in a new place and I didn't know anybody. And then when we moved back to New Zealand, it was a little bit more about networking here, but also very much coach globally, very used to coaching predominantly online. And I think it's grown from then quite a lot. So from just coaching, I do facilitation work, leadership development, career conversations. I've run a big mentorship program for an organization from scratch, which was really, to be honest, like when you're coached, you are coached, you do think about like stretching yourself and pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and it's not easy. And so that's, I coach myself sometimes, but that mentorship program for me was something I'd never done before, and I learned so much and I got such fantastic feedback. I think it was 94% satisfaction rate after, from the surveys that people had answered. So I love having the facilitation and the energy in the room, as well as the one-on-ones. And then obviously recently I've been doing group and team coaching, and I absolutely love that space. And I think it's so powerful. So there's lots of different areas as a coach when you think about what other things you could be doing to complement your business.
Thank you, Penny. Now, the next inquiry is really related to what you are currently talking about. As you are sharing what you do, I'm becoming more curious to hear about how you bring in your background from psychology and the previous experiences. And also, you're mentioning, apart from delivering coaching, you also integrate other components into your practice, like mentoring piece that you're talking about. Also, congratulations on such high satisfaction rate, Penny. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about the different practices that you incorporate as a professional coach? Also, what kind of clients do you serve as you bring your services to the market?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because they do vary. I suppose talking with individual clients first, I deal with a lot of predominantly senior women, but I also coach men as well, professionals. I deal with emerging leaders. I deal with managers, people who are already in a management position and they're looking for the next level up. I deal, sort of the topics that they come to me with would be around imposter syndrome, leading high performing teams, going through a career transition, as I said, or seeking a promotion, executive presence. There's a lot around visibility on that one too, sort of pushing yourself out there, becoming more visible so that you can have more options. Building confidence is a huge one. And I think over the last few years, work-life balance and burnout have been some of the ones that have been really topical for my clients. And then when I think about the leadership, leadership skills or the leadership development skills that I've been doing in workshops, it's around, I've done positive intelligence. So I'm very much focused on positive psychology, obviously with the psychology background as well. That's landing really well with people understanding their saboteurs and how their brain works for them and against them. I've done leadership development workshops as well, coaching, career conversations, thinking about strengths, values, goal setting. So yeah, I mean, there's lots really. And the mentorship program obviously was really great too, because I match mentors and mentees within the organization, and it was really successful too. So I also do some interview training as well. It's not something I do a lot of, but because of my background, I have lots of experience in that. And so I can do interview training, and I've incorporated that a lot with my clients. I'm also certified in psychometric testing as well. So I do the Hogan's assessment and 360 as well.
Thank you, Penny. So sounds like you can provide a lot of services to a potential client. So I am, as you're talking about these services that you deliver, let's say if someone is watching this session and thinking, I want to work with Penny, and I'm curious to know, what is her coaching style like?
Yes.
How would you like to share that?
Yeah, my coaching style. So yeah, as I mentioned there, even with the mentorship program, that I ask for feedback. I also ask for feedback from all of my clients. So group coaching, individual coaching, I do send surveys because I like to learn as a coach and where I can improve. So I have a really good flavor of what my clients think of how the coaching has gone. And I think a couple of things that people have said is that I'm a good listener, very calm. I create that space, and it can be silence just to help people think. And I think generally being really empathetic at the same time, but also can ask those challenging questions to help people sort of hold up the mirror or challenge their perspective. So that would be they would be kind of the main things that people have pointed out.
Wonderful. I think those qualities are so important for a professional coach, as you mentioned repeatedly, that we are in a space of holding space for our clients with non-judgment. I think this is very important. This is also one of the reasons why often individuals, professionals who feel that they want to work with practitioner, but they're unsure where to go, because I think in society often we receive the judgment. People judge us so that we hold ourselves back from truly seeking help. So with that, if someone would like to work with you, what would be the process like from the moment of contacting you and starting a coaching engagement?
Yeah, I think, well, firstly, nice that if they've watched this video, it's nice to get a flavor. Like you, I watched your videos before I met with you, and I think that's a really good start, actually. And you can't be coached if you don't want to be coached. And it's really important to find a coach, firstly, that suits you and matches your values, and you've got that chemistry with them as well. So that's the first thing. I would send them a complimentary invite to have a chat with me for 30 minutes, just to see if that connection is there. And prior to that call, I'd send them a pre-coaching survey as well. So they'd answer some questions, really help them to reflect on what is it they want to get out of the coaching? Why do they want to do the coaching now? Are they actually ready for this? And it really helps them put pen to paper and really think about this quite seriously. And then it means that our time together on the call is much more meaningful. Then after the call, we would talk about, in the call, we would talk about the program. So for example, my signature program is 6 months, 6 one-hour coaching calls. And that would be where we would discuss what good looks like, how to measure success, and what would be really different for them by the end of the coaching program. So as I said, the six sessions over 6 months, and research has shown that actually meeting with your client more frequently is statistically better proven for improvement for the client. If you can meet them, you can't really meet a coach. You can have a one-off coaching session, but if you want to kind of work towards long-term, meeting a coach once a month or once every 3 or 4 weeks obviously is really beneficial. I do also work with other companies, and I do 30-minute calls once a week or 45 minutes a fortnight. That can work too. as well for people. It depends on people's time. So I'm quite flexible, but predominantly I would be doing the 6 coaching hours over 6 months. And then the add-ons would be things like I mentioned, a 360, a personality testing. The other thing my clients are really loving at the moment is the three-way coaching meetings. So it would be with myself, the client, and their manager. So I'd have a first coaching session with my client, and then after that, we would meet with the manager. And prior to that meeting, I would send an email to both the manager and the client to get some information about what we can share in our meeting. And it's a really strong way to start off the coaching, to be supported by your manager, and to have them then to be accountable as well. And then at the end of the coaching, we would have a follow-up session at the end. And what's really great is the manager can turn around and go, wow, I really observed, A, B, and C in you. And I think maybe there's a bit more work to be done in C, and the client possibly would agree. How do we set that up for success once the coaching's finished? And so you're leaving that person in the hands of the manager who's been kind of, tapping in over the 6 months, so they really know what's going on. I have a client at the moment, and they meet every 2 weeks, the manager and the client, purely about the coaching, purely about their goals. I personally don't discuss anything, obviously, with the manager because it's confidential, what happens in the sessions. But this is a lovely leeway for a manager to be part of that coaching program as well, to be able to support their employee.
Excellent, Penny. You mentioned that when you work in these programs, you also have a very clear way of measuring success. So at the beginning, we decide what the client wants to work on, and towards the end, we again measure their development. Would you like to talk a little bit about this process, and especially with some potential examples? How does this journey look like to success for your clients?
I think it's very different for different people. So for example, I had one client who was in academia, and she really never thought she could do anything else. And so actually for her, I think success was making her realize that she could do other things, and that actually she could leave her job and it was okay. That I think all along she had thought she had to keep doing what she was doing the way she was doing it. So that was success for her. One of my other clients was about public speaking. She could never even ask a question online, even in a webinar. By the end of the coaching, she was not only asking a question, she was actually managing the breakout rooms and leading groups, and then presenting it back to the larger group, standing up in front of more people. So it's different for everybody. Also I've had a lady who went through it, and she was already quite senior, but looking for the next position up. And she was quite a competitive manager. And by the end of it, she said, I love the space I'm in now. I'm much calmer, much happier in my role, realize it's not all about me, and it's more about my team and empowering her team. And I think it's so all of those people that I've just mentioned, it really is around challenging their perspective, changing their perspective, and, being able to kind of feel fulfilled and happy where you're at, as opposed to feeling like someone's put you there and you're not happy. So there's quite a difference. As I said earlier, completely led by them. And so success can be different things to different people, really.
Thank you, Penny. Personally, for me also, what is most rewarding is ability to helping our clients find their own answers and create that perspective change. I think that's a really deeply fulfilling experience, rather than directly telling people what to do or applying a strategy. So I resonate with you very much there, Penny. So that brings me to, now that you're doing great work helping people change their perspective and truly create a ripple of impact, not just only within themselves, but also people around them, including their loved ones, and then also professionally, the people that they work with. So with that, I would like to understand, how do you find this to be fulfilling and meaningful for you as a professional, as an individual, Penny?
Yeah, I think I really find it quite humbling to be part of somebody's life, to have these conversations with people. People can get emotional, clients can get emotional in meetings, and that's okay. And it's knowing that that's okay, that you bring your whole self. You don't just talk about one part of yourself. And I think when people are new to coaching, they don't maybe realize that. They go, what can I talk about and what shouldn't I talk about? And I think knowing that you've got that support, and that if there is something you don't want to talk about, you actually don't have to go there at all. But for me, it's been, like you say there as well, you actually don't know which way it's going to go, and you don't know what success is going to look like until you start to see this person evolve. And watch them through the journey, hold their hands. Coaching is very much about partnership. We both show up, we're both engaged, and they'll always be like, oh wow, thank you, but the work is actually all done by them. As we're there to challenge and ask the questions, but it's all in them. And actually seeing that, I think, burst out of a person, I think that's the most meaningful and rewarding. And it is definitely the most sort of purpose-driven role that I've ever done, that I feel really aligned to doing what I do. And I feel so excited that I can do it. I have a family with 3 kids. There's no retirement age. It's like wine, you only get better with age with a coach. So I can't ever see me retiring from coaching, and that's just so fantastic too. Yeah.
Wonderful, Penny. Thank you for sharing. It sounds really important, the aspect, I think, highlighting this aspect of the conversations, development, the perspective change. All this happens within the client themselves, because there is that innate potential and innate answers within ourselves. I think this is a very valuable piece of information that we need as professional coaches to share with the world. I think the word coaching, or the coach itself, is quite confusing sometimes. The reason being, coaching has been operating in the world professionally for about 3 decades now. So it's still fairly a new profession to the world. Although coaching style of inquiry and helping individual develop, it could go back to ancient times with leaders, spiritual leaders, and so on. So I think one of the reasons why we are also inviting our professional coaches in this space and to shine a light on them is to help those individuals, professionals who are looking for coaching, to understand that this is a very self-driven practice where the client finding their own answers. So thank you for highlighting that, Penny. And also, as you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that we take the learner role. I think this is one of the very privileges and also a fulfilling aspect of being a professional coach, because we take the learner role and then we learn from the client. And how do you resonate with this concept, Penny?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had a client the other day, and she was talking about how to fit exercise in during the day, and I was thinking, I should be doing that. Even in that sense. But I come away from every sort of coaching program learning from the clients, the amazing people that I work with. There's always something there, because it's coming from them. Their ideas are fascinating, and I think they don't realize it. By the end of the session, they're like, oh wow, they're writing down their notes and their actions. They're like, I can't believe I thought of that myself. So that's really amazing when you can ignite that within somebody, that they can come up with their own answers. And it's just, you just get such a nice warm feeling, and it's so purpose driven for the person in front of you. You are following their true sort of compass of where they want to go and where they want to be, and you're helping them stay on the track as opposed to getting lost. And I think that's such a privilege to be able to be part of that journey and to see that growth continue over the few months that you're coaching with them.
Thank you, Penny. Now, if you are watching this and thinking of working with Penny, I would like to bring your attention to something that Penny mentioned earlier, connecting with what she's mentioning now. So she said earlier, you should be coachable. In other words, now we are hearing that you are willing to stir, you're willing to truly reflect within yourself, go within yourself and find your own answers and take actions. And this is important. And this is what now Penny is talking about. So Penny, with that, let's say if someone is contemplating currently working with a professional coach, what would be your insight to them?
I think I've had a lot of clients say that they've potentially found a friend or someone who's maybe gone through a coaching program themselves, because I have also heard of people who've not really understood what coaching is, and they go straight into a coaching session. They go, that was just useless. They didn't tell me what to do. They didn't give me any advice. Got nothing out of that. They didn't tell me who I should be calling. That's not what coaching is. And I think the first thing is actually to do a little bit of research around what coaching is and what it isn't. It's not mentorship. It's not therapy. It's not counseling. It's not giving advice. It's quite different. And I think it's really good to take a step back and to maybe even watch a coaching session online, to read a little bit about what other people get out of coaching. You could go on to, my website or a coach's website and read some testimonials actually to see what people get out of the coaching. So I think that would be the first thing really. And then sort of looking at making sure that the coach is kind of, it got the right sort of pathway for you. So, I think you get a feel when you read someone's LinkedIn profile or some of their posts, or you see their website, or if they've got a video, you start to get a feel of, oh, maybe I could work with that person. Or maybe there's 3 people there actually that I quite like. Go and have those half-hour calls with all 3, because that's what a lot of clients do when they come to me too. And it's okay if they don't choose me, because I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea either. And so I think it's, you accept that as a coach too, that you really want to make sure that the client picks the right coach for them, and that it's also a two-way thing as well. So do your research.
Brilliant, Penny. Thank you. So this conversation, learning about you and learning about your approach to serving your clients has been really valuable, Penny. So before we end this conversation, I would like to mention to those who are joining us, we are going to include how to contact Penny, website, contact details in the description of this video. So feel free to reach out to Penny. Like you said, she has a very open invitation to you to seek out and see whether you find the right energy, right chemistry with Penny in terms of continuing professional development, personal development with Penny. All right. So with that, Penny, how would you like to end this conversation today?
I would just like to ask the question, which I ask a lot of my clients, and it's from Marion Franklin and the Harder Laser Coaching. And it's, what's it costing you? What's it costing you not to talk to a coach and make that call?
Wonderful sharing. Thank you very much for joining us today, Penny. Look forward to keeping in touch, and I wish you all the very best in creating ripples of positivity and development in your clients and people around you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Fernando.